What's going on, my people? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews, and welcome back to this series as we come to a conclusion, for now, to Cobra Kai Season 4. If you haven't checked out my other reviews, please go check those out before coming to this one. I don't want to spoil anything for you. But for everyone that hasn't binge-watched Season 4 of Cobra Kai, you're definitely in for a treat because there are going to be spoilers, so be prepared. That's what I'm telling you. Go now and go check out Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. And when you're done with those, you're more than welcome to log on and catch my perspective on Season 4. I know I'm looking sexy right now. It's very hot currently where I'm at. And I just wanted to let loose and definitely focus on this review. But for those of us who have gone through all 10 episodes already, yes, we're nerds. Embrace it. Embrace it fully. Let's get straight into it. Right off the bat, the alliance that Johnny and Daniel have formed, as it should have been expected, even though it was rocky as hell from both individuals because of them having very different styles of teaching. But the biggest surprise doesn't come from their various techniques and how the students handle them. In fact, it doesn't even come from the Eagle Fang or Macchio at all. Instead, it comes from Cobra Kai, unexpectedly. As everyone already knew, that Terry Silver comes back in the season. And his anticipated return since Kreese came back in Season 2 was her talking to someone when Season 3 concluded, and you could only guess who he was talking about. I personally knew it was going to be Terry, because who else? And we didn't know what Terry had planned. We didn't know what was going to be his design, what was going to be his technique when going into this new season, especially after losing the first battle. This was crazy. Coming back to this particular world, in fact, for Terry's, it's kind of a fiasco, right? In Karate Kid Part 3, he simply disappeared, and John Kreese became a broken man since Cobra Kai was more or less dead, considering that Mike Barnes was the last hope. But the problem with Silver, as is seen from episode 4 onward, is that he's a perfect example of why one leaves sleeping dogs to lie, since the man is like a caged beast, that he was choked out of his mind when he was torturing Daniel, and even expressed remorse for it. But when his Vietnam flashback started up and they start to come back thanks to none other than Kreese, he finally embraces the fact that Kreese might have been right, and that he misses his life in Cobra Kai, and it was like the final lock of being shattered as the animal within surged forward, fully prepared and intent on creating as much damage as possible. You know, Terry Silver is very similar in many ways to John Kreese. You know, the only thing it feels like Terry Silver bringing back those nostalgic memories are gonna affect him dearly. And matters didn't get any better when it came, obviously, for Johnny and Daniel. Still couldn't work together in this season since their beliefs were very different. The fighting between them was very funny. Despite functioning on a low level, in the current era, Johnny's ways of thinking is still stuck back in the 80s and 90s, while you have Daniel has embraced the defensive mindset a little too well, and has taken Mr. Miyagi's lessons about pacification to heart, right? He doesn't like when you fight, basically. He rather you defend from somebody going at you than you actually throwing the first punch. He doesn't understand why you throw a first punch or why you use force. You know, he believes to use karate just for defense. And, you know, that's something he takes to heart. The biggest issue with this is that while Johnny's teaching the students to kick ass, as you're supposed to, Danny's teaching them to balance themselves and focus on karate as this defensive style, which in many ways it's objective. And it's designed to teach these students how to react, right? But these students are young, they're eager, they're incomplete without the offense mindset that one needs in a serious fight. There's a great deal to take within the season, as both Daniel and Johnny are both still finding out what works and what doesn't. What's positive, what's negative. While Sam goes on the offense, making it clear to Tori that she's going to do whatever it takes to beat the hell out of her, especially what happened in season 2. While Robbie is of the mindset that there's no way Macchio can defeat Cobra Kai if he teaches the secrets to his new crew from his former sensei, which was Danny, to his new Cobra Kai allies. As each episode builds up to the finale, each individual has to go through a number of different trials as Amanda LaRusso attempts to help Tori after discovering her difficult situation, and even attempts to squash the rivalry between her daughter, between Sam and Tori. The season definitely takes you on roller coasters like that. Originally she goes to Tori's job to kind of reprimand her, and then all of a sudden loses her job. And she feels bad for it, especially after really getting to know Tori and seeing that she's had a rough upbringing. Anthony LaRusso actually becomes a bully. The little boy, their only boy. And thanks to his own poor decisions, as he chills with these bullies, these pieces of shit. And he decides to go ahead and become one of them, but you can see he doesn't really have it in him. He's just trying to fit in. He's trying to be cool. But bullying is definitely not cool. As he bullies this young kid named Kenny, who's a newcomer to the show. He's new to the district, and he enters Cobra Kai to toughen himself up. By the end of the season, the tables definitely have turned, since Kenny learns a great deal from Cobra Kai and Robbie, namely how to stand up to his bullies, but also how to become a bully. By the time Robbie, who trained Kenny in part, attempted to kind of mentor him, pulls the new kid off of Anthony, things have gone way too far for any peace to be brokered at those moments. Kenny, you could tell he was a good kid. His brother maybe will play a role down the road, but he was actually a character in the earlier seasons, very briefly, in jail with Robbie. And you can tell this kid is a good kid. But when you get bullied to the point where he gets bullied in this, it starts to fuck with you mentally, and you have no remorse for that people bullying you. To the point where he kicks Anthony's ass in one scene towards later in the show. And a great deal has happened this season, and binge watching it doesn't mean that we're not going to go back and check it out, right? But everything that remains unknown, such as Johnny's father, who he was, who Miguel's father is, who Tori's father might be, and so on. It's so important to note that once Kreese started seeing the madness that Silver was coming with, his own sense of honor was put to the test. And it's fair to say that he's not willing to cheat, to win any longer. You can tell he's developing some kind of compassion, but then again, Johnny was always his weakness. Like Terry even tells him, he has a soft spot for him. He wants to see him succeed. He doesn't want to see him hurt. It is important to notice that Kreese is starting to see the madness that Silver is coming with. Also, his own sense of honor, and he recognizes that this is where he went wrong with Johnny, especially in the earlier movies. But of course, once the other shoe drops, one should have expected something bad will come along, right? If one shoe fits, the other should also, or rather, something worse. The betrayal of Kreese by Silver towards the end of this series is kind of a sudden. I'm not gonna spoil too much for you, but it's kind of a sudden. It's sudden. It's like you don't really expect that, you know, and you don't think that will come along. But Miguel, he sets out to try to meet his father, which brings us into a possible new season, and we'll likely be there within maybe another 12 months, considering that seasons 3 and 4 were filmed relatively around the same time and late on around the same time. Maybe they'll go ahead and do that with season 5 of this. But with so much anticipation to talk about, this current season will bear a lot of watching, since there's a lot that's been revealed and a lot more that we don't know yet. This is one of those seasons where you got to go back and you got to nitpick and you got to take these Easter eggs one by one. And sometimes you're going to be happy, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to want to drink. I got my bottle ready, right? You know, sometimes shit goes left, sometimes shit goes right. Sometimes shit doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Sometimes shit is good, sometimes shit smells bad. Sometimes you gotta spray once in a while, right? But this was definitely a season. It's a must-see, especially if you saw the first 3. So, man, go ahead and definitely check it out. To me, this pretty much was a 9 out of 10. It's hard to give this a 10 when I feel like there were seasons that were maybe a little better than this one. But this one, you know, does suffer from some negatives that I don't want to speak on right now. I think I need a few more watches to definitely clarify, and we will get another review down the line in total of the whole franchise whenever they decide to end. I'll be here for it. But yeah, definitely go check it out. Cobra Kai already arrived on Netflix. Check this out. Then comment on my Discord and let me know what you thought. Let's have this discussion. Who's your favorite character? Is it Johnny? Is it Danny? Is it Miguel? Is it Hawk? Who's no longer Hawk after cutting his hair, right? So definitely, man. Look forward to hearing from you. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. And if you want more videos from me, please subscribe. Peace.